On my last video, I believe I was discussing that I was now the subject of a witch hunt. After the bomb I had dropped on my last night in field service, I guess my former Bible instructor, the stalker, decided to take it upon himself to find out what the issue was. Initially, he thought that I was having problems with somebody in the congregation. Little did he know that since I was mocked, how could I have problems with people that I don't even talk to? Well, anyways, I had already mentioned to him about the child molestation problems and pedophiles in the organization. Didn't quite know how to handle that, and he's defending the organization, blindly lashing out. And finally, it got too much for him. He could not handle too much. This guy had the brain of a dehydrated BB. If you put his brain in a parakeet's head, it would fly backwards. Anyways, he decides to leave. Well, I'll come back and talk to you later. And he left, and I figured, okay, you're going straight to the elders to find out what to say. I was right. A couple days later, he shows up at my house again. I guess they schooled him into what to say, because he just could not. Well, this time, I figured, something, I'm going to go totally left base on this jamoke. So as soon as he brings up the child molestation issue, I says, something? With everything we've been taught about the wild beast, the United Nations, and how all the world's religions riding the wild beast upon of Babylon the Great, why was it that Watchtower was an NGO member of the United Nations for 10 years, nearly 10 years? His response was almost laughable. He says, oh, that's politics. Really? Are we supposed to be involved in politics or not? And he said, well, the governing body's got to do what they've got to do. And like, okay, you mean riding the beast is something they had to do. So now they are now part of Babylon the Great. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't know what to say about that. He was schooled on what to say about the child molestation. He kept trying to go back into it. And at this point in time, I already knew what was going on. And I says, no, let's talk about this. I want to know what is going on. And he says, well, I don't know about that. I'm going to have to check into it. And I says, well, you can call the United Nations and they will verify it. That's a fact. And the United Nations isn't going to make something like that up. Then I threw one at him and I said, well, that's okay. I'm registered to vote in the 2016 elections. He says, oh, you can't do that. And I'm like, says who? And he says, well, the society. And well, if the society can get involved in politics, so can't I. So at this point, I'm throwing things rapid fire at him. I showed him a list of all the companies that Watchtower had stock in. And especially Philip Morris. And I says, these are stocks that Watchtower owns, and I will show you the websites to look it up. And he didn't believe me at first, and I'm like, it's a nonprofit organization. Everything they do is open to the public. And I said, remember when you caught me smoking? Talked me to turn myself in. I was actually going to challenge that. He said, well, you could have, but you'd have been disfellowshipped. I'm like, okay, it's okay for Watchtower to invest in a cigarette company, but I can't smoke? That's BS. I believe that's BS. And he was so confused. He just didn't know what to say. And he says, well, let me see those websites and I'll look it up. And, for the first time in 10 years, I thought he was genuine. I says, maybe I can wake this asshole up. So I marked everything down. I said, you go home right now. You check your computer, because I didn't have one. I had to use a friend's computer out of town. And I want to hear from you later on. I wasn't sure if he was still going back to the elders or not. Yeah, apparently he was. I was at work, and later on that night, I got a text. I wish I still had it. He says, well, I checked those websites out. Didn't see anything of any interest. But the choice you got to make is whose side you're on. Okay, first smokescreen. Now what he's trying to do is what the elders told him to do, is deviate my attention from my issues with Watchtower and lay a guilt trip on me over here. Whose side am I on? Okay, obviously not on the side of the liars. So that told me, and that's exactly what I sent a text back to him. I says, you didn't look, did you? And I turned that phone off. At this point, I didn't even want to talk to this jackass. Now the stalking begins. I didn't want to talk anymore. but he'd be doing drive-bys and work while I was at work, constantly driving by my, it's like, enough is enough. He went away with his wife for a few weeks. And I think, you know what? I'm going to ruin this guy's day. I had acquired the bunker video, so I sent it to him. This is before they went to their convention, so he had no idea that this bunker video was even in existence, but it was already leaked. So I sent it to him. He texts me back and says, "That's from an apostate website. Don't contact me again." And I'm like, yes, he won't bother me again. But I did text him back and say, "Oh, by the way, you'll be seeing that video at the regional convention." So I figure I'm out of the woods. He won't bother me again. Yeah, right. I'm in work one day, working, and he walks in, lets himself in. And I'm like, "Look, really, I'm working now. I have no time to play." He's got this manila envelope. And I said, "I want you to read this." And I'm like, "Is this from Watchtower? Because if it is, it's gone right in the trash." He says, "I want you to read this with an open heart and an open mind." I said to him, "I already know what I know. Nothing is going to change that." He says, "Repeat it and read it with an open heart and an open mind." And I says, "You mean read it with a blindfold on?" And he leaves. I get the envelope. I did take a quick look. Oh, yeah, it was a Watchtower article. Right in the trash with it. I was not interested. A couple of days later, my boss and I were cleaning up, getting ready to go home. We're outside. Now, he also wanted to come across as a badass biker. He had this bike, not even like it was a Harley or anything. It was a foreign jobber that sounded more like a fat baby farting. And he had this oblong helmet that didn't quite fit right. So when he rode in, he looked like a pudgy little penis with a big head. So here he comes in. My boss and I are tired. We wanted to go home. We're outside cleaning up, and he rides by and sits there revving up his bike. And we're both looking at him like, oh my God. Then he revs off and takes off down the street. And I'm like, I have just about had enough with this. And my boss says to me, "I can stop him from coming in here." And I'm just like, "You may have to, because I don't think this is going to stop." This went on a couple of times. And I'm like, enough is enough. I was sitting outside a few days later, getting ready to go into work. And he pulls up. Now, it was a Sunday, so he's on his way to the Kingdom Hall. And he sits down. And I'm like, no. I'm going into work. You're not going to screw up my day. And he says, "If you're going to leave the organization, you're going to do it the right way." And I says, "No, I'm left the organization, and I did it my way." We got into quite a heated argument. And I says, "You need to leave now." He says to me, "I don't have to leave. This is a public place." I'm like, "Excuse me. This is a privately owned business, and if you don't think I can have you removed, guess again. I will get legal." At this point in time, I had a serious hernia. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even gotten this far. I had gotten so enraged, I picked up the table and stopped myself within seconds of cleaving his head open with it and tossed it to the side. And he gets up and he's all puffed up and says, "I'm not afraid of you." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why you're backing up 6 feet, asshole." Anyways, I says, "You know something? I want you to leave. You are not to come back here again. You are not to go near my house ever again." And he says, "Well, you haven't seen me. I wouldn't go near your house." And I'm like, "You'll harass me at work, though." And I says, "Leave now, or I'll get a trespass warrant against you." Well, his last words at walking away is, "You left the organization for a piece of ass." And I'm like, okay, first of all, that had nothing to do with any of the reason I left. Second of all, why would I have to leave the organization for a piece of ass? I mean, this told me right then and there that when Jehovah's Witnesses can't reason with you, they will take personal shots at you. And his shots were very, very childish. This was the last time I ever saw this guy. And I just don't say anything, just let him go. Because you say any more, it's just going to continue. And the customers are starting to notice this. And I don't think he realizes how close he came to being jumped by a couple of them. But let him go on to his little effing meeting. And the Watchtower. And that was the last time I saw him. And it's like the only reason I didn't pop him was because I am at my place of employment and I'm not going to risk my job by hitting somebody. My boss says to me the next day, "Why didn't you hit him?" I wish you told me that before because I would have loved to have. But anyways, he's been a good little boy since I'm gone and doing his job and staying out of my way because, no, you were never a contest to me. You never would be. Anyways, guys, that's about all the time I'm going to give on this. But leave your comments below. And I want to thank my subscribers again for putting up with my rants. And I will talk to you again soon.